Hi, everybody. I'm Adrian Nelson here with my best friend, Alandra Coleman. And we just wanted to come back to you. The last podcast we did was absolutely fantastic. It was about the spiritual aspects, how, people like myself experience life as a full-time professional psychic medium. The one before that, which really got a lot of attention, was all this chaos that was unfolding in the world at the moment that is pretty much unfolded at the time. And today we want to look into a topic that I think is just absolutely, absolutely, absolutely amazing. So if you are interested in your life getting better and improving your life, stay tuned. But before we get into it, for those of you that don't know Alandra, let's first meet her, find out a little bit about what she's doing. But this is one of those conversations that can change your life. So let's imagine that this is a news channel. Alandra, over to you.
Hi, Adrian. It's so good to get together again and have these conversations. My name is Alandra Coleman. Adrian and I have been best friends for the longest time. I think we keep it at a 20-year mark, but it's like much more than that.
But we always
Um,
keep it all 20 It's longer than 20 years.
We've had a wonderful journey, and what's so wonderful about it is that we have progressed consciously and transformed consciously, pretty much in sync, not exactly at the same time. I unfolded a little later, and Adrian was there, to be there for me because he had already unfolded. He's always, a natural born psychic. And how amazing is that to have that kind of support? We have really walked a journey. For those of you who don't know me, I have been a social media and marketing specialist for over 2 decades. I have a page called I Am Social. I am very specifically stream of consciousness. I also have a page called Spiritual Life Vibrations. I assist light workers in showing up in the world on social media from many different aspects. It's not just about social media or marketing or showing up, it's about you. So I do various different things but that's my primary thing, helping light workers who are still dealing with some unhealed wounds, which is something we're going to be talking about today, from different aspects of life. And yeah, take it from there. It's so lovely to be here with you today and with Adrian again.
All right. So what we want to talk about today, which is a topic that I really feel it is just almost like a moral responsibility to speak about this now, is that there are so many people going around in this world with unhealed patterns within themselves. Trauma you experience in childhood, a lot of generational trauma is being healed at the moment. Family things, Akashic records, call it what you will. The bottom line is, with the world being sort of more upside down than it typically is at the moment, there are an increase in light and love and those things, but there's also an increase in con men and con women and what we would sometimes call gaslighters or low vibers or whatever bullies. Bottom line is people that will take advantage of you, people that will recognize your unhealed pain inside of you, and they will use that against you. So this conversation is really, I'll tell you a little bit about my life. Alandra's going to tell you a bit about her life. But sharing real life examples of how people can take advantage of you when you have unhealed patterns within yourself. So,
Yeah, we're all about real life conversations.
yeah,
We are doing real life here as humans in our perspective. So we're about real life, grounded in this
so this is not
reality.
about the fairies or the dragons or the unicorns or any of those things. This is a real life conversation about, I will say, how you kind of become a sitting duck, an easy target, low hanging fruit, when you don't actively take steps, progressive steps towards actually healing the pain within yourself, the challenges, the trauma, the belief in your subconscious mind, how that will screw you over. That's really what this is about. It's straight out, straightforward, to the point, making no bones about it.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. Well, it often comes to me where I think about it. It felt like life was so easy and was such a breeze when I had my addictions. And, Friday nights was all about getting together with friends and having a booze up, and life was just so easy, because I didn't have to face myself. I didn't have to do any of those things. Um, and then it changes. But one thing that I truly never experienced was happiness. Because when we're doing those things, we somehow try to fit into the environment of that. I don't know, Adrian. Here's
You're
something
actually finding you're actually finding a way to maneuver around your pain. That's really what you are doing.
else.
Because also, and this is why it's so important that, when we speak about people taking advantage of our pain, they can recognize our pain because they themselves are in pain. So the bully, the gaslighter, the narcissist, whatever it is that you want to call them, they don't have compassion for you, quite simply because they don't have compassion for themselves. They are in pain. They are operating from trauma. The motivation behind the action is managing the pain. So even things like, when you do something that is really not a nice thing, you will find a way to quiet your mind. So you're either gonna literally physically assault someone else or verbally or emotionally assault them. You're going to take some sort of coping mechanism. You're going to drink yourself halfway into a stammer. That is something that we did. And we thought we were happy, but we weren't. And I mean, we have openly said this before. We have done some really horrible things to other people before. And we kind of felt that, well, I was in my light, I was in my power, but technically speaking, we were in our pain. So here's the thing. If you are in a space at the moment where life is against you, people are against you, no matter where you go, everybody always has a problem with you. People are always jealous of you, all of those sort of things. Let's just cut it straight to the chase. There is a belief that you have within yourself about your own worth and value that is playing out, projecting out as your experience of life. End of story, full stop. But that doesn't have to be your reality. Yes?
Yeah, I think it is so easy in this life to lose our personal individuality. For
Hmm.
example, let's go to romantic relationships. Okay? You meet this person, you your own person, they their own person, you get together, and suddenly you start exhibiting each other's traits. And then you start to believe the same things. And you start to sound like each other. And you start to, and yes, you're coming together as one, it's beautiful, but it's really, really easy to lose your individuality because most of the time, one, and this is unconscious, we do it unconsciously. They say you become the 5 people that you hang out with the most. Okay, and this is true. The company that we keep is really important. The partners that we choose are really important. And that's why I think so many relationships and marriages end up breaking up, and dissolving. Some of them really sadly after 30, 40, 50 years, because one person might consciously try to start unfolding and awakening and wanting more, and the other person is just happy with their lives. And like it's a progressive journey, but it's because until we know ourselves, like Adrian was saying, healing those unhealed wounds, we don't really know who we are. We don't actually know what we want, what we stand for, what our personal values are, and then what our personal values are in collaboration with that environment. And that's where what Adrian is speaking about, where those unhealed wounds, those traumas, that generational patterning, the karma, all comes to the forefront because we start to lose ourselves and people pick it up and they use it against you.
And this is where the pain comes in because sometimes when you listen to people fight, They will start out fighting by you didn't take out the trash or you forgot to buy the milk or whatever it may be. But when you listen to them, it very easily or very quickly digresses into those directions of, this is what my dad used to do. I hated it when my mom went through this, that neighbor always did that to his wife and that sort of things, and it begins to play out quite a lot in relationships, and that is romantic relationships, friendships, sometimes not so much, depending on it. A lot of times in work environments, when there's usually some sort of expectation on you. And because we are communal beings, we do try to mold ourselves into those situations and circumstances where we will be accepted. And when you don't heal your patterns within yourself, when you don't heal the pain, you don't heal the trauma, then you don't really have such a healthy opinion of yourself. So you're willing to take the scraps that you get. This person likes me. Oh, that's cool. I will be with them. At least they think that I'm nice and stuff like that. And then you fast forward a couple of years or even a couple of weeks sometimes, and then the truth begins to surface. And then you say the person has changed, but essentially you can only hold up pretense for so long. You know what I mean?
Yes, and then what happens is we have become each other, so we are thinking the same, talking the same, and we start to use those unhealed traumas of that person to hold them to ransom. I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to this. I'm going to that. Because we know that person now. We know their Achilles heels. We know what pisses them off, and we use it to our advantage.
Feeling
Because
ever so powerful.
ultimately, I think all anyone in life ever wants is to be loved,
Yes.
unconditionally loved, is to
To
be
be loved and to be
heard.
able to love another one freely.
Exactly. Is to be heard and understood. Because with that, there's a certain kind of peace, a certain kind of bliss. But how are we to do that if we unconsciously become the person that we're with? Because then we've lost our sense of individuality.
Well,
And
it's
this
that.
is why
Yes.
chaos ensues. This
Yes.
is why, people can use your unhealed traumas against you because we lose our sense of identity. And I'm
And
telling
that's
you,
the
people
thing.
can pick it up. I was
Yeah.
listening to a podcast of, I think she's a former, I can't remember, CIA or FBI agent. I'm not really sure. I listen to a lot of podcasts. And they had done a study, I think, in prisons of showing people walking down the streets and asking which people do you think would be easy targets. And they could tell you exactly. If you're not
Yes.
walking with confidence, you're stuck in your mind, you're slumping, you're looking down, you're looking terrified, you're an easy target. If you're walking with your steps too wide apart, you may also be a target. But if you're walking at a slow, steady, firm, confident place, looking around you, you are self-assured. And no one is going to, and the only way to do that is to heal yourself, is to come to
Yes.
the awareness, is to know who you are, what you stand for, what your boundaries are, and to confidently show up as you in this world.
Yes.
Otherwise, your mind is just stuck on everything else. I mean, how many times do we walk in the street and we're actually unaware that we're walking in the street? That our minds are all over the place while we're walking in the street. We're not present. Why are we not present? Because we're not in a state of awareness. Why aren't we in a state of awareness? Because we haven't taken the time to do it ourselves or go to people like Adrian to help us to unfold that awareness, to unfold who we really are.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Awareness and dealing with those unhealed wounds is, Aiden was talking about generational karma. And he was talking about how when we fight with someone, we don't really. Have you ever been in a sort of a word slinging match or whatever? and you're like, do you know who I am? I am,
We used to say those things.
right? And then you pull out your father's name or your mother's name or your family name, because that's who you believe that you are. But do you know who you really are? And also listening to I've listened to those conversations. I have the privilege of, unfortunately, I can't help you hearing a lot of those conversations. And I can tell you, people will come out of club, they will fight, but you never hear what actually happened. You never hear the story of what happened inside. They're in the street now. They blah, 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 at each other. You never hear what actually happened. You hear about how they don't wash the dishes, how they don't take care of you, how they don't this, how they don't that, but you didn't hear what happened now.
But when you really listen, you can actually hear the verbiage behind what is being said right now, which 99 point all the nines in the world percent times typically has nothing to do with what's going on right now. This is a trigger for something else. Yeah. And typically there's two ways that you get into this sort of thing. I always say it's almost like people walk around with this big neon invisible sort of, billboards above their head, and this one speaks to the other one and we get together. That is when you do it subconsciously. But what we really want to get at today is that there are people out there who are consciously and deliberately and very decisively using your unhealed patterns, your unhealed trauma, your unhealed pain against you. And very simple examples of those would be telemarketers sometimes, advertising out there that convinces you if you use this shampoo, your hair is going to look amazing and you're going to feel all happy and fulfilled within yourself. So you go and pay like an overpriced amount of money for a shampoo. That is exactly the same brand. You're worth it. It's exactly the same as the cheap brand. It's just different packaging and maybe some beautiful scent or whatever in it. But, so it can affect you financially. Definitely, it can affect your health. You feel that you want to keep on living up to this person. And this is how we get in connections where we are being abused and we are being disrespected and you're being dishonored. And you can't. You're literally being conned. I personally have been in a situation like that before where I was getting conned because I was just so happy because I'm getting a little bit of attention. And you don't see it when you are in the situation because on a deeper level, you are looking to be loved and accepted and to be okay. And in many times, those are the people that will be labeled as a nice person. They're so nice, they're so kind, they're so generous, they're so understanding, they're so giving. But technically speaking, because of the unresolved trauma, they've taken on the role of being a savior for someone else. And every single savior wants to be saved. You want somebody to come and sort of see you and acknowledge you and notice you. But it's funny when they do, you still can't accept it, And you can play it out in different ways. You can be a savior, then you're always going to look out for a broken puppy. And if somebody recognizes that within you, which is quite easy to recognize in actual fact, they're going to know what you need. They're going to know what you want. They're going to know what are the leading questions to ask or what to do. And you're going to fall for it like a rock in water, So I think we've got to a time in life where it is imperative to really, really deal with your unresolved pain, because if you don't, you are going to fall victim to something pretty soon, and you may already have. That is the big thing to realize as well. You might currently be suffering from, something that is to your detriment. Death is usually one of those things. Somewhere there is a sense of, unworthiness within yourself. And so when I fell into death, I started to look, okay, where am I feeling unworthy? And a lot of things came up, and a lot of things are still coming up. We are all just people that are working at understanding ourselves better so that we can live and do better. So as much as
if there's anything that affects our vibration as people and lowers our vibration, is money.
Yes.
Is a shortage of money. Money can take us into the darkest depths of misery. And as optimistic and happy as you would like to convince yourself you are, in reality, there's nothing that seems to lower our vibration than going through a financial challenge. So
Well, it's
maybe
very
we can.
difficult to be positive when you're hungry and you don't have a roof over your head and you can't pay for your car and you can't send your kids to school and you can't buy toiletries, so you're smelling bad.
Mm,
It's hard to be positive in those spaces and you want to be sober about that.
mm, mm. And well, Adrian, let's do this. Maybe there's some techniques. Now, we're not talking about the extremes here. We're talking about, everyday life and maybe some exercise or something that can help people um move forward when they're stuck in that vibration and can't seem to find a way out and move forward. Um, for instance, I absolutely love journaling. Okay, journaling for me, and I think Adrian as well, is
I'm a big
phenomenal.
journaling fan.
But I understand there are people who are married, they have kids, they have small children, and they don't have time to sit in and write things down or have that me time. By the time you get to bed, you're so tired. Who got time to sit and do a video journal or type an email to oneself or any of that? But there is time, guys. I promise you. A lot of the norm is to sit down and watch a television series, let's say, or television before you retire for the evening. That time of watching television, and I learned this, you don't need to watch that movie. There's other ways to wind down. If it means reading a self-help book during that time, that's a great way to do it. If it means listening to an audiobook or a podcast because you don't have time to journal, it does help to change your vibration. It helps you. And there's so much available, guys. There's so much on YouTube. You don't have to go pay for expensive subscriptions. There's so much available. If you have a Wi-Fi connection, there's so much available on YouTube. You can plug your earphones in and you can listen to something that empowers you and raises your vibration.
Actually, if you don't have a Wi-Fi connection, you can go somewhere that is a Wi-Fi connection and you can download it because then you can listen to it uninterrupted.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was listening to Tony Robbins' incantations this morning. While I was walking to the shop, it puts me in a beautiful space because I knew I'm going to have a busy day. And we all got challenges going on. I think every person in this world has got some form of challenge, no matter how much money you have. In fact, those rich people with so much money have challenges just like the everyday person out there. There's no distance or discrepancy or difference between people. Very
I
little.
think something good to also understand is that, yes, money is great and money can open many doors. And I'm going to say that if you're on planet Earth, you want money. Because if you don't have money, shit's going to go south for you. But you also don't want to fall for the idea that money is going to make you happy. Money can make your life very, very comfortable and very beautiful and very safe and very secure, and very convenient. But you do not want to place the onus of your personal happiness at the feet of money because you're setting yourself up for failure.
Which reminded me of something. I was saying Adrian and I have been through a journey, guys. Let me tell you something. There was one stage all we could actually afford was just to get like a pie or rolls, and we would go sit by the sea and we would have this amazing time. And of course, we started to do better and a little bit better in life. We progressed from there to going to have pasta or something. And from
And then
there,
we
we
can do
went to
fine
like
dining.
ocean baskets. And from there, like, you see, it's not about money. It's about the connection. It's about the relationship. It's about fellowship. And sometimes I don't have, and sometimes Adrian doesn't have. And that makes no difference to us because honestly, we could sit at the beach with a packet of knickknacks and half a loaf of bread. And it would make no difference to the relationship or connection that we have because we know ourselves now. We know where we come from. We know where we're heading, you
Yeah.
know? So money make it not the man. It's
No.
marvelous to have it.
And there's
But
sort of two things that I think that can help you is that one, if you are already happy in your job, in your relationship, in your whatever, you know, as human beings, it's very easy to lose ourselves in a thread because we are communal beings. So it's also, and I teach people like when I work with people, how to draw ever occasionally how to draw your energy back to yourself, because you can have this beautiful relationship and it can be amazing, but we begin to lose ourselves in it a little bit, and sometimes we get overly invested in it and we begin to lose ourselves in it. So I like to teach people how to pull themselves back to the fullness of who they are, so that you can experience all the beautiful things that life has to offer, but you can do so in a way that is to your benefit and to the other person's benefit on an ongoing basis. So that is the one. That is if you're already happy. If you are not and you actually want to find happiness, here's the thing about trauma, about pain, about beliefs, is that subconsciously we all have certain beliefs about life, and majority of those beliefs have been inherited. We were born with them. We are expansions of our parents with their beliefs and their beliefs and their beliefs, and we also have all that potential for the good as well as the bad. But sometimes here's the thing to remember: you are having a certain experience of life based on your beliefs. That's it. So when we really get angry or tired or overwhelmed or annoyed or any one of those feelings, we have certain thoughts going in our mind. We've got certain things that we say. Those things are telling you what you are believing that cause you to actually be in the experience that you currently are. So you want to ask yourself, what do I get from this? And the beautiful thing or the interesting thing is that you get something from your beliefs. You get something from your pain. You get something from your trauma. And it could be that I remember when I was very, very young, I saw two people that are very, very close to me. They were having this, when I say a fight, I mean things were flying, and they were married. And I was like 4. And I said to myself, I will never, ever allow myself to get into a space where this will happen to me. But subsequently, what happened is, in that moment, and I was only 4, in that moment, I decided that I was going to be independent, I was going to be strong, and predominantly, I won't allow anybody else to put me in this situation again, which means anybody that I let close to me can put me back in that situation, which means I can't trust people. I can't let them know me too well. I can't let them get too close to me, because if they do, they may hurt me, Sorry. So the question is, what do you get from the pain? What do you get from the belief? How does it serve you? And more often than not, it eventually takes you towards loneliness, which is you, because you can't be with other people. And when we are with people, and we have resolved these beliefs, because now we get finally coming in that's, ooh la la, yes, they the one. And this could be a long lost family member, it could be the love of your life, whatever it may be. Then it turns out to be even worse than it was before, because subconsciously, now we are speaking about people who are deliberately taking advantage of you, but remember, subconsciously, people also have patterns going on. So you just go for an interview, you get the job, but somehow the boss also understands that you are the person that they can take advantage of. You are the
because
person
you are
that's
the
gonna
giver, you are the yeah.
yeah.
I think we are conditioned to think that it's selfish to think of self first. But what we don't understand is that it's important to think of self first, because everything else follows on from that. For instance, and I think Adrian is accustomed to this as well. When shit is going down or something's not going right in my life, I have to stop for a moment, whether I journal it, writing it, video it, just think it. My thinking goes from first an observational point of view. Okay, let me take everyone out of the situation, stop thinking about them, and look at what's happening with Alandra. Okay, Alandra, what is actually going on? Okay, facts. Now I look at why is this going on? Can you identify from any place in the story, why is this taking place? Okay. How can I change what's happening with me first to change the situation? Instead of forcing the other person to fit into my model of the world in the way I expect the world to be, I'm thinking of, okay, so within my model of the world and my this observation, like a friend, I'm talking to myself, okay, so what can I do differently to change the situation for myself? And then once I know that, automatically everything else starts to unfold beautifully from there. I change, maybe I'm wrong, and I change my attitude. They then change their attitude. It's like working in a bad workplace. Oh, I hate my job. Oh, I hate what I do. Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate that. If you maybe change the thinking and you think to yourself, okay, how can I make my job more pleasant for me? How can I go in today and enjoy what I'm doing in service of what I'm doing? Immediately things begin to change. How can I make
Yes.
a difference to myself? How can I be happy doing what I'm doing? Instead of my boss sucks, that sucks, I hate this, because I will say it over and over and over and over again. Energy flows where attention goes. So the more you hate and the more, that's what you're going to mirror back to yourself. Instead of, okay, I don't like my job. I don't like what I'm doing. Okay, fine. How can I make myself happy doing it? What can I change to actually enjoy what I'm doing until I can do something else? That sort of thing,
Yes.
right?
And what do you get from it? Like what does your ego get from it? You know,
Yeah.
so first of all, okay, I hate my job. And if I can make an example, I've had many jobs, many. And with the exception of maybe one or two, I've hated them all. Like I absolutely despise them. I woke up in the morning, it's like, oh my God, here we go again. But when I really started looking at, so what is the commonality here? Well, the one is I like working with people. The other one is I don't like outdated ideas and I don't really like being told what to do. Those are just facts, you know? So how is it that my bosses get along with everybody else, but not with me? Because, well, maybe first of all, I don't want to be here, you know? So what is it saying about me? So the situation that I'm in, what is it reflecting back to me about myself? What do I get from it? What does my ego get from it? Maybe my ego gets to call everybody dumb, stupid fuckers. So, I'm better than them, that sort of thing. But what can I learn from you? What is this reflecting to me? So even when I go into a different job, what is the lesson here? What can I resolve here? What chapter can I close here? How can I leave here with peace? But before you can have peace, you need to know what is it that's not causing you peace. And what is it that you get from it? What does your ego get from it? What does your survival self get from it? Because, I have gone to different jobs and then I've even gone to different countries to try and get away from the. It is the same thing over and over because the motivation behind your action will always determine the outcome for you. So who am I? What is it within me that is causing me to have this experience? And here's the thing, it's not easy to look at yourself like that. It's not even always easy to do that work. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's so worth it because if you invest in yourself for 3 months even, you first of all, you ensure of a better future. You save a lot of money going forward because you're not going to spend money on stupid stuff trying to feel better or worse, maybe, and this is the risk that you walk, that you spend that money on other people. Because this is how I actually got into debt to actually start with. I was taking credit cards and all sorts of things to try and buy affection from other people that I didn't even like really much, by the way, but it was more important that they liked me because I didn't like myself. And you until you're willing to kind of get to that point of responsibility,
Yeah.
you pretty much like a ship, like a boat in the middle of the ocean with no oars type of thing. You're going where the current takes you, you know?
Mm.
And it's not a
Yeah,
pleasant way to go.
it starts with self, and once you sort self out, everything else starts to work out. Because let me tell you something, you can't run. You're going to spend a lot of money running, and you're going to end up right back at the same place because your shadow's always with you. It is always with you. It is not going anywhere. You cannot run from the situation. It's easier to just go through it, go through the thick of it, go through the emotion of it. You know, if you have to take a time out, take a time out, but go through the emotion of it. But also remember, when you commit to something, and I keep going back to relationships, because we seem to have reached a stage where I'm in my power. I don't need anybody. No, stuff that person. Me, I'm in my power. But if
But then
you
the
walk
same
into
people,
something, making a commitment to that something, and suddenly you find your power. Now, please do not misunderstand me. I am not saying that you must make yourself small and not participate in positive changes for yourself. But there's a way to go about it, because you have a responsibility to the commitment that you walked into. So if you're going to walk out of the commitment, don't threaten. I'm going to divorce you. I effing hate you. Because that's what our power does to us. Trust me, my ego has been in
oh, wait,
its
wait, 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 wait,
power.
wait, wait. Wait, hold on. You are nothing without me. Do you know me? You lose me, you'll never find anybody like me again. This is your loss.
There's no need to do that randomness. And the only way you come to understand that is when you see yourself, you see your cycle, you understand yourself, you've healed and continuously healed the unhealed traumas, that you're able to have an observational point of view where you can see from all sides of the story, not just my side of the story. You
Let's
know,
just quickly, sorry, let's just add this quickly, sorry, just in case this video blows up, just so that everybody is aware, we have got no association whatsoever with Biogen. It just happens to be a water bottle that happens to be there. Okay?
oh yes,
Let's please not
excuse
get
me.
the,
It's
let's
just
please not
water
get the
in
things
here.
about it. I know that there are those out there that get very infantile about things, and you become all sorts of cowboy keyboards.
Yes,
Not
please.
about,
We do not
not
endorse
about.
Biogen. I am just all about hydration. Hydration is really important to me. My throat gets dry really quickly. I have Celtic salt here, which I, use as electrolytes. So remaining hydrated I've been on a health and wellness journey for a little bit now. My life is completely transformed. And water is like so important for me. That's why you see me sipping in between. So we do
Actually,
not
speaking of that,
endorse anyone, or we are not selling for anyone, by the way, just so
yeah.
that you know.
Actually,
Okay.
speaking of that, because we're in this age where people have, and I find it quite comical, people have this terror about AI, and then they complain about AI on something like a mobile device, you know? And with the beautiful work that you do, you really help people um, to find themselves in this confusing pit of what is happening with technology next, you know?
Mm.
And I think that that might be a good one to talk about as well, because remember, when we are resistant to change, we are resistant to all change. And when you see, maybe simple example, mom, dad walked out of mom, that sort of thing. It could have been the neighbors. You could have seen it on television. It will traumatize you the same way because your mind doesn't get the difference. So you see, okay, so walked out, things have changed. Life went really, really bad. Your brain is going to register that change is a very dangerous thing. So, and I think that is what's happening with a lot of people in the world these days, and this is why this topic is so important, is because you are overwhelmed by the changes. The technical, or is technical the right word? IT changes that are happening, that in itself can actually take you into a very dark place, which you may have been able to very successfully ignore for many, many years, might now come up completely. So you may, for example, think that you are in complete resistance to AI, or that you have to really buy into it like a crazy person as well. But, you know, your unhealed patterns, your unhealed wounds to live, to survive, to be okay, to be seen, to not be seen, to win, to lose, to maintain, whatever it may be, is pretty much on high alert at the moment. So I actually think that might be a good thing to actually touch on.
Well, there's no denying that a lot has happened in the last couple of years and a lot is unfolding. And whether we like it or not, the changes are going to take place. We can sit and watch them taking place and not participate in them, or we can participate in them. Now, here's one thing. If you have children, then I highly suggest that you stop resisting the change and start getting involved in the change. And I'm saying this for a reason. When we were kids, maybe we sat in front of a television. Nowadays, our kids usually all have devices. And if we don't know how to use those devices or what's happening with those devices, we are not able to guide and support them appropriately or within what we would like to help them through. It's in schools now. People are using language models in schools. Governments are
It's in
changing,
church.
okay, to
It's in church.
include, yes, it's in church. Governments, people are using it for sermons and stuff like that. But let's just talk about the actual reality of AI. I'm just want to have a sip of water because I'm gonna go with this one. So let's talk about this reality of AI. AI ain't going nowhere. It's here and it's here to stay, and it's going to continuously evolve. And does it have the possibility of being negative over positive? Absolutely. But let's talk about it. You go to the bank for a loan. How do you think that loan is approved? Through an algorithm, through an AI system, through all your data. Okay? Our lives have been ruled already by algorithms and AI for eons. I'm not eons, that's taking it a bit too far, but for a really long time. That's why we see the things that we see in our feeds, on social media. It's all there. Now, can we use it to impact positively ourselves and others, or negatively? That is going to depend on your resistance and your resistance to change. Now, let me tell you something. I never liked change. Really, you can ask Adrian. It takes me about a year, maybe 2, maybe 5 years to buy a smart TV. Okay?
I still don't have one.
I won't just go for the latest gadgets. I'm about functionality. If something's working for me and it's functioning to the best of its ability, amazing. So let's talk about AI, like let's just say ChatGPT or DeepSeek or one of these larger language models. Remember, at this moment in time, and this is a crucial moment in time, okay? You have the ability to train that language model by what you feed it. You are in control of it. And it is going to output the way that you feed it. It can be negative, it can be positive. That is going to depend on you. What are you using AI for? Are you using it to enhance and empower your life and make things easier for yourself without it disrupting or manipulating other people? Or are you doing it for malicious purposes, benevolence or malicious? You decide. As a human sentient being, you are in control. Why would I want my kid to play something like I don't know, Minecraft, if I don't even know what it is and I have no, we got to get in the know. Life is changing. You know how many robots there are that are already doing jobs that people didn't have before? What do those people do now? They got to find other skills. And especially to keep up with our children, it's important to keep up with the skills of the changes going on in the world. So is it bad? You decide based on what I have shared with you now. Remember, you're a sentient being. You can reason things, and you can decide if AI is good or bad for you. But it can enhance, empower, and work positively. And we are in a crucial moment where all these language models are coming out, where as light workers, we have the ability to change the narrative. Not by stopping it, but by working with it. It's like a bad marriage. Do I want to keep my marriage, or do I want to adapt and evolve my marriage so that it's empowering, happy, peaceful, and joyous? Do I want to work with him or her, or do I want to just leave them and be resistant to change and move on to the next thing? AI ain't going anywhere. It is not going anywhere. If anything, it is just going to keep enhancing. There is so much AI on the market at the moment. So it all depends on you. How are you willing to use it? Intentions, 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 intentions. Everything in life, everything is about intention.
Because here's the thing, people are so, I think one of the biggest fears that I hear people have when it comes to AI is that, so one, it can take over our lives. Nothing is ever going to make up for the soul. Two, it is learning from us how to be. So if there's a fear that it can take over our lives and it's learning from us how to be, then it means that we are actually training it through our actions and our focus how to take over our lives, which means that we are coming from a derogatory
It's like your
standpoint.
children. How are you raising your children? Think of it like that. How are you raising your children? How it's like a worker. How am I teaching or empowering my worker? Because it's
Yes.
going to be a product and a result of your guidance and your
And here's
understanding
the thing.
and intention.
Yes. And here's the thing. With anything in life that expands, there are always more opportunities, never less. But the human brain is very conditioned to like to keep things in a familiar space. So it's not completely abnormal to be resistant to change. That is normal. It is when you become petrified and it starts to run your world that you want to ask yourself, where is this coming from? Who used to say this? Where is this thinking coming from? And especially in the westernized part of the world, we come from a lot of negative thinking. No such a thing as a free lunch. Don't trust strangers. Money is, I mean, there's many about money, you know. Even some older ones that are very present these days, don't marry above your station. In other words, some people are better than you. You know what I mean? So you really want to look at it.
Yeah, I just want to go back to AI. Guys, there is no mistaking that there are malicious people in this world. There are no
Yep.
mistaking, and it's scary. And AI can be scary because, like Adrian and I are talking now, having, it's so easy to clone someone's voice, clone someone's face. There's so many trolls out there and people who copy your pages and all of that, and especially if you become a public figure. And we started this conversation with how people use your weaknesses and unhealed traumas against you. With AI, we don't really have the ability to control all of that. But I'm quite sure that as it's consistently evolving, I know, there are governments who are looking at it and how it's being used, and people are going to prison now because of things that they've done on social media or AI or whatever. You know, I was listening to this guy on TikTok the other day. I think he freelances for Fortune 500 companies. And I think that this is an important one to mention. It's a little bit off topic, but important. So his sole consultation service is to do deep searches on people who those people are hiring. And there's many people who don't get that job because of social media. Because some video at some time is going to come up and you've forgotten all about it, and now you're looking for a job. And
Or
it
even if you
could be
delete it.
anything. Remember, wherever you are in the streets, you do not know where you're being videoed. You do not know who's putting out. So all the more reason to heal ourselves and heal our wounds so that we present and show up in the world as who we choose and want to be. You might be having a night out, you're getting liquored up, you're with your friends, you're having a blah, blah, blah. If somebody goes and puts that video on of you, you have no problem with it because you know who you are, you're comfortable with it, you can have a laugh about it. Oh, I let my hair down, I had such fun. You know, it is what it is. But if you're somebody who lives two different lives and doesn't want people to see that sort of thing, then you got to watch yourself, because whether you walk into the shops, whether you, doesn't matter what you're doing in life now, everyone has one of these. And that's why it's important to show up. I always say to Adrian, thank goodness they didn't have this when we were young and going through our shit.
Thank God.
Because we would have probably been sprawled all over the internet. We've done really stupid, crazy thing. Now, I think we overemphasizing. We weren't that bad. We were just regular people having fun. Okay.
But here's the thing, though. These days, just being a regular person is sort of shunned upon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And just because other people put these heavy expectations upon your shoulders doesn't mean that you have to carry them. I tried that shit. I'm the psychic that's supposed to be proper speaking and proper whatever. Didn't work for me. You drive yourself into craziness.
We never came here to be saints. I didn't come here to be a saint. I ain't no saint. I don't proclaim to be. I will never be. I am who I am. I have my history. My history has brought me to where I am today. And Adrian, I'm sure, feels exactly the same way. There's this perception of when you're a coach or you're trying to help people through your own experiences, and then you're supposed to be put on a pedestal and be this perfect human being. You're not supposed to do anything wrong. And I don't want to mention the name of the person, but this was a well-known, influential person about a year ago. I think I sent Adrian the article. And so it turns out that the story that he's been giving the world isn't actually the story. Okay. And
yes.
he lost followers like there was no, you didn't have to deplatform, you didn't have to be deplatformed. All it took was one article in a UK newspaper, and the media has control like that. They have control like that. Just takes one thing. And that's why I'd rather be strong and pure in who you are and who you show up as. Sometimes in the moment, I show up as an absolute, you don't want to deal with me. Trust me. But that's me. That's who I am. I accept it. It's me. You know? So the more we heal ourselves, the more we can confidently and comfortably be who we are and who we choose to be. I saw a status the other day about, I think people might be a bit confused. Is she spiritual? Is she gangster? Is she, I don't know, they had like a whole lot of different things. And I always say, I am who I am in that moment in time, because there is no other moment. There is only this now moment. So if I present as mirroring your image and swearing you and giving you back what you're giving me because I'm standing within my power, then that's me in that moment.
But here's the thing, though. When you say I am who I am, And for a moment, you breathe and you really listen to that. When you say, I am who I am, what are you actually saying?
How you
Because
feel.
this can come from strength, this can come from power, this can come from, you know,
Generational trauma, because you
generational
may think
trauma.
yeah.
It can come from anything. So when you say, I am who I am in this moment, who are you in this moment? What is driving that? What are you getting from it? You know, it's the same thing, like to go right back to the beginning of the conversation, that when crappy things happen to you, you know, so whether it's that people do bad things, whether you take on negative energy attachments, whatever it may be, there has to be a hook somewhere within you in order for it to hook on to. So it's not about what the other person is doing or not doing or sending your way or the negative energy. It's about what is it inside of me that is very good soil for the seed to land in and to germinate, basically, you know, to take root. And that is the same thing with the newspapers. What is it about me that makes it, you know, possible for those people to have that angle on me? And here's the big thing about social media as well. There's a lot of trolls out there, lots of them. You know, what do you call those people that send viruses? Hackers, you know. But here's the thing about the hacker, and this is pretty much the same way that these low vibers on AI will work. They will send out a little spider, and that spider is going to go look for a fertile hook. So they're sending it out into the internet in any case.
Yeah.
They will find you as a fertile hook if you are a person who, you know, maybe you into, most people are into porn. Let's just be honest about it. But, you know, you get porn and then you get that, which is a whole very dark sort of, even though the porn industry in any way it's very dark, but, you know, you get those really, really dark, gory type of things that kind of make your stomach turn. Now, if somebody sends out a spider, who do they think? Who do you think is going to hook on that? Because people that watch stuff like that, they have a certain perception of themselves, which is not usually the most positive perception. Because if you take entertainment, joy, whatever, from seeing another person or two people or five people, whatever the case may be, completely disrespecting each other's just basic morals, what do you think that says about what's going on in your subconscious? So it's exactly the same thing as a person who walks in the road with their steps and their confidence and stuff like that. So here's the thing to know, and this is just a plain simple truth. If bad things are happening to you, you need to do some work on the inside. Now, it doesn't mean that bad things are never going to happen to you, but based on who you are is going to determine how susceptible you are to all. It's like fishing. How susceptible are you to the bait that's being thrown out in the hook? And if you get caught in things like that, it's, yes, you want to deal with the situation. If you need to do legalities, you do legalities and those sort of things. But do yourself a massive favor and put up that mirror of truth and ask yourself, what is this showing to me about me? If this happens to me, if I'm in this bad relationship, if people take advantage of me, when I buy into the con that make me lose stuff or all that sort of stuff, what is it within me that is the hook within me that made that possible? Because trust me, when I tell you, it is reflecting back something to you about you. And so in that sense, you can get really mad, and getting mad is fine, it's normal. But it's also a great opportunity to heal, to make sure it doesn't happen to you again.
Healing is so important. And this, you know, I think there's also misconceptions about healing. Look, let me tell you something. I've been there. If you're happy with your life and you think there's nothing wrong with you, then there's nothing wrong with you. Then you don't need to heal. Listen, this, like, my algorithms feed me only positive stuff. Motivation, this, motivation. Sometimes I get sick of it. And I just want to be. And I want to watch Skitskop and Donor movies. So for overseas people, you know, I want to watch, like, I wouldn't call,
Karate,
I like to use the, something with a little action, like an action movie, like a Liam Neeson or something. And I don't want to be motivated because I just want to be in a different sort of world. But at the
You want
same
to be
time,
entertained.
I want to be entertained out of my reality. By the way, something wonderful that I also heard the other day, talking about movies. You know, we always think about our lives as movies because we hear it so often, you know, and we often look at from the observational view of the script happening in our lives. But imagine this. Imagine everybody else is watching you in the movie and they are rooting for you and they know what your strengths and they keep telling you, do go for it. And it's like a totally different perspective. And that's how collective consciousness basically also works, you know. And just imagine they are wanting you to win. And the only person stopping yourself is you. So we always think about it from a negative perspective of a movie of our life. But imagine, here's the universe. They're watching your movie and they want you to win. What will you do if you knew that they wanted you to win? You're going to go for
I
it
actually
because you
like
have
that.
people believing in you.
I've
You know?
always envisioned sort of like almost like an atrium type of thing, and then there's a stage in the middle, and this stage is life on planet Earth. And you can imagine that all your guides and your guardians and your angels and what be they sort of like watching this movie, you know? And the thing to remember about life being a movie is that you can get very drawn into it. Um, but it's not really real. But then also remember, for example, when actors do method acting, and in case you don't know, method acting is where you kind of become this role. Then for some people, they can become this role when they're in front of the camera and they step off the camera and they're not that role anymore. But for some people, they become so entranced, sort of like intricately this character itself, that it can make them depressed and they can feel that they have nothing without it. And this is what can also happen with your pain, with your trauma, if it is a driving force in your life, that you feel that you can't let go of it, because if you let go of it, you've got nothing left, you know? So you actually find ways to keep the trauma in your life. And a lot of times this will be through justifications like, I can't leave the job because if I lose it, then my family doesn't have money. I can't leave this relationship because this person needs me. You know, we find really logical spaces, so to speak, logical ways to keep traumas in life. When you understand what you are doing, and when you understand there really are no victims, because you and whoever's playing this with you, you are actually playing it together. So you are